Hi guys, my name is Spilo, and this is episode 3 of the First Fight concept series. Today's episode, we're going to be going over the Chengdu Hunters versus the Vancouver Titans on Hollywood. Now, for those of you who have not seen any of the episodes of this series before, First Fight Concepts is all about analyzing the first fight in a pro Overwatch League game map, and then pulling a concept that we can learn from that very first fight. Now, this concept is not just about the pro Overwatch scene, but about things that we can learn in our own Overwatch experience and we can apply it in our own games. Now, the reason why I picked the Chengdu Hunters and the Vancouver Titans is not just because it was an exciting game, but because in the very first fight, the Chengdu Hunters demonstrated an excellent understanding of the concept of Crossfire. Now, for some of you, that may be a familiar term, right? Double sniper, one shooting this way, one shooting this way, they, map control, yeah, but what does it really mean? And how can we apply it in situations where we don't have two snipers? Because even though that Chengdu Hunters technically are running a damage here and a damage here, and Ash is a sniper, right? But Hollywood doesn't really lend itself very well to sniper use. So how does this work out? How do the Chengdu Hunters force GOATs, a very strong composition, to lose its very first fight, which, by the way, this ends up being a Chengdu Hunters map because they burn off a lot of time on the map before Vancouver Titans is able to capture the first point. So let's analyze the compositions really quick. First off, we have a standard high damage anti-GOATs composition, one that we're going to probably see more of moving forward. Junkrat, Ash, both sources of high damage. Zenyatta, Mercy, we have Discord and damage boost. And then you have the Diva to contest point and eat the damage that the nades or the Discord or whatever else is needed. And then the Orisa is there to provide a hard shield for either her Junkrat or Zenyatta or her Ash, as well as she's pretty decent at contesting point with Fortify and the ability to use Halt for her own defensive purposes. Now, the Vancouver Titans are running a variation of the GOATs composition. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be running the Winston instead for an attempt to dive onto the bunker, to apply pressure to the bunker, not necessarily to kill anybody in the bunker, but to force cooldowns, to make it difficult so when the Chengdu Hunters do have to contest point, it's a little bit harder for them. And they're going to be running an Ana over a Zen for the added sustain that you're probably going to need going into DPS comps. Now, the reason we're running Ana instead of Moira is because you want Ana paired with Winston, and you want Moira paired with Reinhardt due to the close range nature of Moira's heals and the long range potential that you want to exploit when you're running Winston. In addition, Ana allows the use of the sleep dart, which makes it difficult for things like Diva and Orisa to contest point, because while they lack the Discord to quickly burn down anybody who contests objective, they do have the sleep dart and the nade to be able to make contesting point difficult regardless of the Discord or not. Okay, so pushes out. And now, I don't like the Winston choice. I explained why the Winston was picked, at least my best guess as to why the coaching staff of the Vancouver Titans want the Winston. A lot of teams tend to run Winston into DPS comps, but we're going to talk about why that's not always a good idea, and we're going to talk about the way the Chengdu Hunters set up that make running a Winston very difficult. All right, so we're going to let it play just a little bit longer. So Bumper's going around this way, and Bumper, what he's going to be trying to do is he's going to be trying to stage a dive, not from the main point. And the reason why he's going to be doing that is staging from the main here doesn't allow him to path very safely. He's going to be taking damage during that dive. He wants to find a path around the backline to where he can quickly get onto the enemy team's backline or the enemy team's frontline, whatever he can dive, and he wants to do so while taking as little damage as possible. Whereas diving this way would mean he'd take a lot of pressure, right? If he wraps around the back and dives the point or dives whoever's on the back of the cafe that way, he'll take a lot less damage and he can grab the mega health back on the way as well. Now, the way the Chengdu Hunters break up this whole play from the Vancouver Titans is really, really clever. Now, we're going to do this pull up visor really fast. So like we already said, we're going to close down Epic Bim. Make this simple. Bumper is coming around this way. And the reason why we're already seeing like a clunky, strange setup from the Vancouver Titans is the Chengdu Hunters have a phenomenally big brain Crossfire setup, okay? We've got Orisa and Zenyatta here, and the rest of the Chengdu Hunters up here, the Diva, the Mercy, the Ash, and the Junkrat. Now, you're seeing this for multiple reasons. Now, normally you'd think, oh, they're all going to be playing on the cafe, la-di-da-di-da. But what the Vancouver Titans would do if they do that, right, is they would path either through alley or just through main, right? They jump the Winston, right? They'd send the Winston, woo, boing, right on top of here. He'd get projected bubble, he'd get not Harmony Orb, armor pack, and he'd use his own bubble. And he'd just cleave all of them, right? And force, the Fortify, or maybe he'd force a Zen to drop, la da da da. And meanwhile, The rest of his team is just going, we're just gonna, we're gonna path on the point here. Don't mind us. We're just gonna sit on point. And then Winston drops off. So he drops off here. And then now his entire backline is safe on the point. And what they could do is they could put their backline like here, right? Right here, okay? Which would mean it very difficult for the Chengdu Hunters to be able to punish that. And they could even put Ana right in server room or in hall room. And she can literally just hard pocket them across the map here. And what are the Chengdu Hunters going to do? They can't really safely contest hall, right? They can't safely contest server, at least very consistently. Server maybe, but hall would be difficult to contest. In addition, they could even put the Ana like over here. Like there's so many different answers, but when you have all of your eggs in one basket, it's very easy for the Vancouver Titans to use their projected bubbles, to use their matrix, to use their positioning to minimize the amount of damage incoming, right? Well, that's what the concept of Crossfire kicks in, because Crossfire says, oh, you think that's a safe spot? Oh, you think that's the only thing you have to matrix and or shield? No. You got to worry about over here. And you got to worry about over here. And you got to worry about over here. And all of a sudden, you got to block damage from over here, and you got to matrix this. And I'm hiding from this damage, but then this, but it's awful. It's terrible. And there's no way to defend against this. So with us, the Winston, them contesting point here, the question is will they be able to defend against the damage from the Orisa and Zenyatta safely here, and the Ashe and the Junkrat here at the same time? And the answer is no. If you set up on point here, yeah, the Orisa Zen can shoot you, but the Ashe and Junkrat can shoot you. If you set up on point here, yeah, the Ashe and the Junkrat are going to have a time shooting you, but the Orisa Zen are just going to light you up, right? So there's no safe way to stage anymore. At least no very easy safe way to stage anymore. And it makes it very, very difficult to apply point pressure without getting absolutely nuked. It's the same reason why Volsky Industries is often a good damage map, because you've got the two opposing high grounds and the point in between where damage could just light you up from multiple different angles. And the way the Chengdu Hunters did this was so clever, because you'd never ever think that an Orisa Junkrat spam composition could utilize Crossfire. Now I want you to notice something. One other thing before we move on. The Orisa Zenyatta, the least mobile heroes, are the furthest ones away, the most difficult ones to dive on. Whereas the ones that are more aggressively positioned all have mobility cooldowns. So whether it's Matrix boosters from the Diva, Concussive Mines, Coach Gun, obviously Guardian Angel. This gives Mercy escape paths to go back and forth if she ever gets pressured. So now you have, if you want to touch the point, Vancouver Titans, you're going to go into a death trap of multiple different angles. And the problem is even if Bumper tries to get clever and stage behind, you're going to even see the Vancouver Titans Ana try and hug that wall, and they're going to try and let the Diva contest point by hugging this wall and coming here, while the Brig tries to contest point, and they stick the Zarya in here to be able to bubble, right? So the Vancouver Titans try to get really clever about it, but it just flops, because one mistake or one quick reaction from the Chengdu Hunters, and you just get absolutely massacred. And that's absolutely what happens here, because look, Bumper's just jumped around behind, right? Well, what's the Diva's purpose now? Diva's just there to bully Winston, and so now Winston's trying to stage, and what does Elsa do? Bumper, let me just go after you now. And Bumper, being Bumper, decides that I can take this 1v1, and he can't, and he dies. And that's it. And you can see that how the Vancouver Titans are trying to big brain this. They get Zarya in here. They've got, Brig trying to touch point and Diva trying to touch point. But Bumper just gets nuked. Because no matter how they staged, the Chengdu Hunters had an angle going after them, right? Elsa doesn't need to matrix anything right now. She could let them get a tick, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is Vancouver Titans can't even consistently apply point pressure that Elsa would need to contest, because they're just going to get lit up by Orisa and Zen. Or the Ashe and the Junkrat. There's no safe way to stage. There's nowhere to go. And so what happens is then Vancouver Titans, instead of adapting, they try to force a composition into this that no longer counters this. It no longer is a counter. And so then they just die. Because look, regardless of whether Bumper's dead or not, Hacksaw has to back out. And then you're going to see Janu is going to get focused next, right? There's no way to win this. There's no way to make it. Now, we're going to talk about Crossfire, because the Crossfire here is what enables the Chengdu Hunters to hold this for a lot longer than just first fight. Now, the question being, what could Vancouver Titans have done better? I'm not going to go into the details of that, because that's not really the point of this video. You could have put Bumper should 100% be on Reinhardt right now, and you either A, path through this way and touch your corner this way, and then your Rhine Shield blocks all forms of damage. Now, even that would be risky, because then you could send, if they go too far, then you're going to have Junkrat spam right up your butt cheeks, okay? And so either way, there's some form of Crossfire to deal with that, or they could have sent Reinhardt all the way through... They could have sent Reinhardt through quickly hard shielding through Hall and then cleared out high ground here. But even that would have been difficult, because yes, he would have been able to drive out the Orisa Zen, but their Junkrat would have immediately repositioned and spammed out Cafe. So there is no really clear answer. It's just good positioning from the Chengdu Hunters. It's going, okay, we have opposing high grounds, and we know that you're going to try and apply objective pressure onto us. We know that you're going to try and do that, because that's how GOATS wins, right? You start applying the objective pressure, somebody has to contest, and because the GOATS is like hugging the wall or hiding in this and just barely touching point, you contest, and you can't really damage them, and then they just destroy whoever touches point, right? That's how GOATS is really strong. But what the Chengdu Hunters does is by setting up here and by setting up here, ignoring, Elsa chasing Bumper, there is no clean way to contest. There's ways you can work around it, but they're always going to be difficult. Always going to be difficult. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket and going, this is where all of our damage is. Or they're not putting their eggs in one basket going, this is where all of our damage is. You can safely position here or here. There is no safe position. Right? And that's the strength of Crossfire. You're saying, oh, you think that's a corner? You think that's cover? You think that's where your D.Va, you can hide behind your shield that way, or you can hide behind your matrix that way? Well, that's cute, because I can shoot you from here, and I can shoot you from there. And the reason why it was so strong with double sniper is because you're talking about damage sources that have theoretically infinite range. Infinite range. And so if Widow can control this entire sightline, and Hanzo can control this entire sightline, then the number of places where you can matrix and the number of places where you can hide as a support or a Winston trying to stage, it's this much, right? The margin of error is incredibly tight. And so Chengdu Hunters do an excellent job of applying this concept in a really unorthodox way, like Orisa and Zen by themselves over here. Like, never heard of that. And on Hollywood, they find a way to make it work, and they absolutely obliterate the Vancouver Titans for making this mistake. And the really cool thing about this is they end up burning. Now, Chengdu Hunters, they screw up their ults really bad, and they end up losing a point after about almost 2.5 minutes. But because 2.5 minutes was wasted, and the Vancouver Titans had to blow almost all of their ultimates to capture first point, something that shouldn't be needed, the Vancouver Titans end up losing this map because of it. All right, so let's rewind this and let's think about how can we apply the whole concept of Crossfire to our own maps, because a lot of this was conceptual, and this was obviously in a very advanced concept. So I'm going to pull up another example that we can think about when we talk about Crossfire. So let's talk about King's Row. Okay, so your team is running a McCree soldier on attack, right? Reinhardt, Zarya, McCree soldier. Okay, and the enemy team is running, Reinhardt, D.Va, Zarya, whatever. A lot of teams, and when you're playing comp, would go, all right, we're just going to push through the choke, and we're going to push into them, and we're going to just hope something good happens. Does that sound familiar? Shoot! All right, you're just shooting the shield or whatever until somebody decides to make a play. But stop. How many defensive resources is what is stopping your soldier from killing the enemy team? Well, the Reinhardt shield, the Zarya bubble, the fact that the supports can hide behind the hotel here, lots of different things, right? And what's stopping your McCree from finding success here? McCree, he has to deal with Reinhardt shield and Zarya bubble, and he has to deal with Matrix if they're running the D.Va, and he has to worry about the supports being around here, so whatever damage he does to the Rhine just gets healed. So stop. You see how it's just bashing your heads into the wall again and again and again? And because you're on attack, you have to make something happen. Defense is happy to just sit there and, twiddle the thumbs all day long. So you just basically farm ults until something happens, right? That's a mistake. Because right now, if you're the Reinhardt, you're like, boy, this is easy. I just have to shield one direction. Yeah, the support's like, oh, I'm falling asleep over here, just pressing mouse of one, healing my tank again and again and again, right? And the Zarya's like, oh, I'm a million charge. Thank you so much. Yeah, now stop. What would happen if you're the soldier of the McCree, and instead you're going, okay, we're bashing our heads into the wall here. Maybe they're running like a Junkrat, right? Or like a Mei, and they're just walling you off, and they're spamming your Rhine shield, and you can't win the shield war because you don't have enough damage compared to them. Stop. What do you have, though? You have mobility, right? And you have range. So what if you instead went, you could push you can't control your Reinhardt. Reinhardt wants to push main, that's fine. But what if you're the soldier McCree went up alley and started to shoot from here? Or maybe use your sprint little ability and hopped over to here. Oh boy. Now what are they going to do? what's that Junkrat going to do against you? Is that Junkrat going to be able to safely contest you there? Is the Mei wall going to be helping? Like, is the Mei wall going to hurt you there? Right? Can they contest you from that far away? Which way is the Ryan going to shield now? Is the Ryan going to be able to shield this way and this way at the same time? Are the supports going to be safe behind Hotel now? Nope. Nope. You've established a Crossfire of your own. Now, obviously, you have to be cautious because you don't have a shield either. But if you're looking at like you're a soldier, you're McCree, and you're playing into like a Junkrat or Mei, who's better at that long range engagement? Maybe you're a Widowmaker, maybe you're a Hanzo, maybe you're an Ashe. Who's better in that engagement? Do you want to play straightforward into that? Is that playing to your strengths? Maybe you're playing into goats, right? And you've learned that, oh, triple DPS, that's how you counter goats. I saw in Overwatch League. So you're running the Pharmacy in the sky and she's spamming, right? And you're running maybe you'll even run a Junkrat. You know, Junkrat spamming this way, right? And I don't know why I'm whistling. And your Ashe is like hiding back here with the Ana and you're spamming the shield. Stop. Again, how many different ways does the GOATS team have of like dealing with damage? They're not many. Matrix may be one way, shield another. They run out quickly. So what happens if your Pharmacy plays over here, spams from clock, or maybe even just hovers right over point? What if your Junkrat decide to sneak through mid, right, through the lower ground, right, and peek out behind Hotel, right, and shot him that way? What if your who else was the other DPS? Your Ashe, right, or whoever decides to jump up to perch, and so now you've got damage from 3 different directions. Where do you shield as a Reinhardt? If you're a Reinhardt main right now, you're probably inwardly cringy because you've all dealt with this sort of situation where it's like, I don't know what to do. And that's the concept of Crossfire. That's where you go, okay, listen, we have multiple different angles of attack into a composition that wants to just play linearly. Maybe you're playing into a Mei comp, maybe you're playing into a spam composition, maybe you're playing double sniper into an Orisa Bastion, right? Orisa Bastion, very straightforward composition. And if you just bash your heads into the wall, who's gonna win that? Right? Who's going to win that composition? Goats? Is you going to be able to, like if you're playing Junkrat McCree into a Goats composition, do you think just spamming your head into the wall again and again and again is the way to beat that? Goats is the ways of dealing with that, right? Goats will run you over. So Crossfire is important because it says, listen, simply like brawling or smashing into the enemy team is not playing to our strengths. Chengdu Hunters didn't stack all up at once because they knew that if the Winston jumps us, yeah, we can zone the Winston out, but we're going to have to contest point, and we don't have the resources to safely contest point. So you know what we're going to do is we're going to establish Crossfire that makes it incredibly difficult for the GOATS team to be able to brawl. We're going to make it incredibly difficult for them to be able to contest point. We're going to take angles that mean there is no safe place from us. That's the concept of Crossfire. Let me say it again. There's no safe place. There's no safe place. You remove safe places. You remove safety. You remove defensive capabilities like shield, defensive matrix, and cover. All right. So wrapping this up, once more, Crossfire is important, not just in double sniper, but in situations where you're looking to beat the enemy team in ways other than linear push, linear pressure, whether it's Mei, Goats, or Orisa Bastion. So compositions that are strong into linear pressure, you need to take angles, you need to damage from multiple different directions that allow you to not play into the strengths of the enemy composition, but to play into the strengths of your own. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to join my Discord in the description and direct message me with any additional questions you may have. Have a wonderful day.